Three, two, one.
Hi guys, welcome to the SHB Unfiltered podcast. We are live on Facebook. Today is episode number, Ruben?
19, episode 19.
Today is episode 19. We are the only daily podcast that goes live every evening at 6:15, or as close to 6:15 as we possibly can. And yes, today, me and Ruben are joined by Chris and Max Papacosta.
Good evening, guys. Hi, guys.
You guys, they are my cousins. They've been with me on this speech journey as well. They've experienced a lot of stuttering situations. They've been massive supporters to SHB. So yeah, really good to have them on today's episode. How you doing, guys? All right?
Good. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Enjoying this for once.
How's the quarantine? How's the isolation going for you lot?
Well, for me, I'm still working at the moment, as you know.
Yeah?
Still going to work. Chris has been quarantined for like 2 weeks now.
About 2 weeks. Only leaving the house to go shopping and stuff. But
Shouldn't it be 2 meters apart, by the way?
I was just about to say, we're not really practicing social distancing, are we? But does it work if you're in the same household anyway?
I know.
Yeah,
No, I was going to say it defeats the point if he's going to work and coming back with all the leggies.
They do see me as a threat everywhere I walk anyway. You know?
Every time he comes in, we're like, quick, have a shower. Make sure you clean yourself up.
I take my precautions at work as well, so I do protect myself.
Do you guys want to readjust a bit? Because it looks like Chris is stealing all the sun.
Yes, you're correct.
Come this way, guys. There we go. That's better. Is that better?
Cool. Yeah.
Chris, I know that this whole situation must be killing you, man, with no football on TV.
Killing me isn't the word, honestly. It's something I didn't ever think would happen, obviously. But there is a bigger thing than football. And, you know, as long as everyone we get through this together, football could come back into our lives at the end of it, I suppose.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, Chris and Max are Chelsea fans, which is absolutely disgusting, but they are Chelsea fans.
It's the best team in London, but, you know, that's for another day.
That's not a big achievement, though, is it? Oh.
I like that. That's good because that also gives a nice dig at Arsenal and Spurs. So I'll take that.
Yeah. See what I did there, Chris. See what I did there. I was just going to ask as well, like, do you think that football has a kind of increased responsibility? Because if football clubs are, especially Premier League clubs, if they get quite a lot of funding to invest into the public and do all these projects, then do they need to step up a bit, interact kind of online with a bit more school sessions like they do normally and keep things going? Because kind of if you hear about these kind of articles in news where they are furloughing staff, the people that they're furloughing are typically your foundation coaches, your charity coaches, people doing like disability sessions and school sessions. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, do you know what? It's funny you asked because I just read now about half an hour ago that someone made a great point. You know, these footballers and these clubs, they've got all that money behind them. And the first people they obviously look to furlough are the people that are the heartbeat of the club. You know, the people working in the training grounds, the stadiums, and well, obviously the stadium, they're not really needed at the moment, the stewards. But in terms of all the caterers and things like that, they've been laid off, and I think the players themselves should, if the club ain't going to take it upon themselves, the players should put their hands in their pockets and so make sure that they don't lose out anything or any wages.
We were talking about it the other day, Chris, right?
Yeah.
CJ, and you don't really know the financial situation of some of these players because we are aware of a few of the African ones who kind of invest into their villages and they fund like all these projects and they fund the schools and hospitals back home. So if they get like a 30% cut on top of the taxes, then that could be significant for what's happening like with their people, right? So it isn't as straightforward as people think.
Is that for Chris or for me? For CJ or for us?
Whichever.
Go on, I'll take it. Yeah, it is true. At the end of the day, we don't know their financial situations. But in terms of, ground staff and, caterers and stuff, their wages are going to be, between a whole football team, should be 20, 50, £100 each a day, say. And that will cover, that should cover them. But I do get what you're saying. The public can't really go out and say footballers should take a pay cut, and if they don't, it's disgusting, because, like you say, we don't know what they do in their hometowns and what they do for the communities, so we can't. I see Danny Rose the other day talking about he will just give whatever people need. He'll give, and he'll pay for ventilators, he'll pay for anything. He probably is one who can do that, but there's other footballers who can't, so you can't put them all in one bracket.
Yeah, like just like a side question that just popped into my head now. If you could furlough one of your players, who would it be? And if you didn't want him on the pitch?
I know exactly who Chris is about to say. I know exactly. Every time we watch Chelsea, he hates this guy.
Am I going to say Pedro?
Pedro, 100%.
Honestly, if I could afford to pay him to stay away, I would. But that's just me. What about you? Who do you not like the most at Chelsea?
I quite like Pedro. We've always had a bit of a dispute about this. I don't know who my worst player is, to be honest.
No one.
To be honest, Zuma, I think. You love Zuma.
I don't like
you
Zuma,
love Zuma. So. But for me, I don't, you just ain't got them techers for me.
Like a good Drinkwater still on the books, or is he on loan still?
Who, sorry?
Drinkwater.
Yeah, he's in. I think he's gone to Burnley. His last place was Burnley. Or did he go to Villa? I forgot. He went. I think he was at Burnley, but I'm not 100% sure where they've got him.
He spent time at both.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he stays away, I'll be happy.
You thought it was a good signing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because he won the league, but.
I think you said it was value more than a good signing.
Yeah, maybe.
Really, how much did we get?
35.
40 million, I think. And I think you forget that he had Kante to his right and Mahrez to his left. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's an easy job when you got those two around you. What about you? What about Tottenham? Who would you, say stay away? We'll pay for your leave.
At the moment, there's a lot of players that I could do that for at the moment, the way they've been performing. But
who's that right back, man?
I would probably say Aurea. Yeah, Aurea is one player that we definitely need to find a replacement. Definitely need to find a replacement. But a question that I have is, do you think that footballers are targeted, and it's a bit unfair because if you look at any other company in the world where there's people that are paid a lot of money, would you expect, like, for example, in the investment banking world, would you expect people at the top to take a pay cut to support people at the lower end of the company? No one really says that. And I don't think I think people would want them to, but they would expect that they would never be up for doing that. But yet we want footballers to take pay cuts.
Good point. That's a very good point. Do you want to take it?
No, I'm just thinking of another point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're spot on. Like I said, although I did say about the footballers doing that, in terms of what you just said there, Wayne Rooney said the exact same thing. He said, why is all the limelight on footballers? What about CEOs of big companies? Why should it be down to footballers to be doing this? I think if it's got to be like that, it's got to be across the board. Everyone has to be doing it. All the big companies, or none of them do it. It's one or the other, I suppose.
Yeah, let's take it over to the Facebook feed. I can see that James Long has made a few comments. As a Spurs fan, I'm ashamed of our owner. to furlough the staff. He's a billionaire. The government scheme isn't meant for him to save a few quid, which he has got a point. He has got a point. How do you feel about that, guys?
I'm just trying to figure out what the need is for anyone to have to participate other than the government itself. So, they've got the funding. They've got the treasury. There's, 9 point something trillion pounds in the UK.
Yeah, but if they do give it out to everyone, then the economy's, there's no money there left.
But
it's all based on debt, though, isn't it? It isn't like they don't have that in the bank. That's all based on debt. They're going to borrow.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Paying it back anyway. Everyone will be paying things back anyway. Grants.
Yeah, but the point here is: do you think that the Spurs owner, Joe Louis, I think his name is, everybody points the finger at Daniel Levy, but I think it's important to realise that he's not the person that owns the club. He only runs the club, right? So do you think that Joe Louis should be putting his hand in his pocket and keeping everybody's wage as it is, not making them take a deduction to 80%?
I don't know if we're not in that situation to know his finances and what he has to pay out and things. But I mean, I'm guessing he can afford to do it. But yeah, I mean, there are other people and other companies and businesses like your own, like my father's, like his, that would need, they really need the backing from the government. Whereas some people don't, but they will, like you say, take advantage of it.
Yeah. And also another point that James raises is also if the footballers take pay cuts, it only helps the owners of the football teams out rather than the government or anybody else, right?
Yeah, I mean, the more I thought about that, what I said earlier, the more I'm thinking that was incorrect. So yeah, I'm going to take my statement back. I don't think footballers should be paying for things. I think if it's going to come from the top.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, the other thing is it doesn't look like we're going to get much of a transfer window. So you can save a few quid there and then put it aside. But just to kind of play devil's advocate, do you think football clubs should be treated as businesses, or is there a bigger responsibility for them to kind of, like, should clubs be put on a higher pedestal and act differently to normal business?
I think they should.
I
personally think they should. I think anyone that invests in a football club needs to realise that it's not, I know that they should try and make a profit, but they shouldn't be expecting to make a profit. I think the fans deserve to see good football. The fans deserve to see owners that are willing to invest and do all they can to make the team as successful as possible. And when you get owners that are only there to make a profit, you usually see the level of football drop. Usually see a lot of their players leave, and ultimately the fans get upset.
Newcastle, for example.
I was just thinking that as well.
Yeah, Mike Ashley done it, didn't he?
He's a genius.
See the wasp. Sorry, guys, there's a wasp flying around. I knew Max would get scared. Sorry.
Still good.
That's it, right?
CJ, what's the like master topic for the day or for the evening that we're going to try and avoid talking about? Or yeah.
So I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to get perspective on stuttering and my cousins who have always been very close to me. It would be a good opportunity for people to hear how they or their experience of me having a stutter, because obviously they knew me before. They knew me before I ever started to work on my speech, and they've known me after. So they've been right there throughout the whole transition. So it'd be good to get it from their point of view and what challenges they may have faced being around me so much and me struggling and stuttering constantly. So boys, a question that other ways. How did you find it when I was before working on my speech, and how it was, and how much I used to struggle?
How did we find it in which way?
Like when we were out, when we were socializing, like I know Chris for sure felt an element of responsibility to kind of take me under his wing and talk for me and stuff. So what was it like from your point of view?
I mean, for me, I never thought nothing big of it. I never thought it was it was never a thing for me. It was just, it was what it was. You know what I mean? I never looked at it in any way of judging or any way of anything, if that makes sense. Like, it was just, it was what it was.
I mean, for me, I mean, for as long as I can remember, you had a stutter, but I've never noticed it get from then till now. Obviously, it's improved a lot, your speech, but I've never actually noticed it in terms of. I just, if I'm sitting with you, I just kind of knew to jump in, but now I know not to, if that makes sense. I can see from how you were feeling, in terms of like when we used to go and eat at the restaurants, and I knew you wanted a Diet Coke. I'd look at you kind of give me a little nod, and I say, yeah, 2 Diet Cokes. And I remember, I'll never forget the first time we went to the Curvan, and he was like, watch this. And he went, I'll have a Diet Coke. And I was like, yes, CJ, that was very good. And I think since then, I've just kind of, I've always looked at you, and you've always just kind of, you've had it, you've got it. So, it's, from my side, I just, like Max said, it is what it is. It's never, nothing to, for us to do. For us, there's nothing for us to do. That makes sense. If you're able to speak at that time, we used to jump in, but other than that, if you wanted us to, obviously, but other than that, love it. Love you for doing it.
Did you guys at any point kind of feel the tension that CJ was having, or feel that he was under a bit of distress? Because you kept saying there, like you both kept saying that kind of for the two of you, like it was just there, and it was just something that he had, and it didn't mean kind of it was the end of the world or anything. But because you were downplaying it, was there kind of, did you not appreciate how much it would have been affecting him? If that makes sense.
Definitely, 100%. Nights out, things like that. I was, in the back of my mind, I always thought, how's he going to be able to cope and things like that? But somehow he did. He I don't know what he was going through in his head, and I can appreciate how hard it must have been for him. But I'd like to think that with people around him as well, like showing that, it's okay, it will make him know that it's okay to, if he needs to take a minute to say a word or to say a sentence, so be it. It is what it is.
And Chris, sorry, you obviously experienced me get good speech, and then obviously when my dad was ill, we know that I took a bit of I had a blip, and you actually helped me work on my speech afterwards, right? So you prompt me and stuff like that. How difficult, or what did you, what was your view on that? Because from me working on my speech, I imagine, and you were really happy that my speech got good, but like, was it difficult to see the blip? Did you not understand why?
Yeah, I mean, I understood, obviously, with your dad. I mean, I know these things, it could trigger, it is what it is. But for me, as long as I was just helping you any way I could, helping you help yourself, obviously. Like you used to say to me, whenever I call you, you had to say Christopher Jackson speaking, things like that. If you forgot, I'd make sure you say it, things like that. I mean, for me, it's all you. It was for me, it wasn't about how I felt about it, because it was in you. It was just making sure you could come back, get your speech back up there, and hearing you every day on here, you have got it up there.
That's very, very sweet of you guys. I can feel like the love on the podcast today. I was going to ask, so like, because did you feel that there was a difference in kind of how stuttering was perceived by the generation above? So maybe the parents and the uncles and aunties, because you guys are cousins, so there was a different kind of vibe there. I get more like friends, but did you feel that kind of maybe the generation above didn't fully get it compared to you guys, and it was easier for you to kind of help Chris as he was growing up?
In terms of our family, I can't honestly say I can remember anyone reacted differently or anything like that. Can you think of anyone?
Maybe not directly, but maybe kind of.
Sorry?
I don't mean like kind of direct reactions, but indirectly, they may feel a bit more like embarrassment, or like they themselves would get a bit more tense if CJ was having kind of a few blips. So yeah, I'm just curious, just different cultures and stuff, because I'm Tamil, so my background is Sri Lankan Tamil, and there is a kind of generation gap at times, because my parents came here in the 80s, and at times they were still in that mentality where like kind of you have to put up a face in front of friends and family and the community and stuff, and if I was like a bad block, they would jump in and speak, and kind of it was a bit like that. So you kind of felt like a bit more tense talking to the elders in the community, and tended to have more blocks in front of them. It was easier amongst your friends.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say if you're amongst your friends and your younger relatives or whatever, you kind of feel more relaxed. But I mean, I really can't remember anyone even indirectly being any different or being like,
Well, everyone's always been supportive, CJ. Like, everyone's probably got the same view of it, but we haven't spoke about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's never, what is there to speak about? We're going to go home.
Yeah.
And, so, what's happening with CJ? It's just, he was born, he's got a stutter, and it is what it is. I think that's across the board with the generation above us as well.
We've all been understanding. Yeah. We know it's there. It is what it is. And that's it, really.
Do you think there's enough awareness about stuttering? Obviously, amongst us lot, you knew me, so you obviously were aware of what stutter was and how it works and how it affects people. But do you think generally, as fluent speakers, there's enough awareness of stuttering out there?
I don't think nowhere near as well. Yeah. No.
Not for me. I don't think there is at all.
I didn't think it was I knew you had it, but I didn't think it was the
community was as much.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as much of a widespread thing. And as I've seen you progress, I didn't know that there was stages, and I didn't know you could. I thought if you've got a stutter, and it is what it is. But it's like now I know that you can get better on your speech and train it. Then there definitely should be a lot more awareness.
You'd be surprised though. You'd be surprised though, because within kind of the community of people who stutter, people still think like that and think, yeah, like you can't improve it, and even if you do, and then even if you try to improve it, you kind of like faking who you really are and stuff, and it gets a bit weird like that. It gets a bit weird.
I mean, at the end of the day, you accept it and you work on it, and that's what you guys are doing. And obviously, you've both noticed your changes over the years, so it does work. You can obviously work on it. CJ was a lot worse than he is now, and for me, he's fluent, really.
Oh, that's a dangerous word to throw out there, Chris.
Man like
That's a dangerous
CJ.
one.
In the pressure cooker now, isn't it? In the pressure cooker, Chris.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever asked you to this. Do you lot know anyone else that has a starter apart from me? Like, have you ever mixed with anyone else that has a starter apart from me?
You know what? There's literally about a month ago, I met someone. He's at work. He's a lift driver. Like, so you
Okay.
get the lift and he takes you to a level, and he's got a starter. And to be honest with you, I've become friends with him within like a month. I'll stop what I'm doing at work and we chat for like 10, 15 minutes. And he's got a starter, but he's a good boy. But yeah, I don't know him very well. But.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone personally other than yourselves, but yeah, I mean, I've come across starters in my life, but it's not as if it's just different from him or me, really. It is what it is.
Yeah, the chances are you probably come across quite a few, but you wouldn't have realized, because either they've been really good at hiding it to a point where it's because the interaction may have been so quick, you wouldn't have sensed it. But they would have been going through like kind of quite of, well, you could be extreme, say trauma, but maybe stress and kind of giving really brief answers and kind of that kind of stuff. Like, I've got personal examples where I've just been stopped in the street and someone's asked me for directions and I can't say right, so I tell them left just to go the wrong way.
Times left.
I can stuff like that. So and they wouldn't know that I was a stutter because I avoided that word at that point. But I sent them to some next place instead. So that's an example of.
Yeah.
So that's an example of kind of like situations where you may come across, but you've got no idea. And to be honest, you can't really do anything in that situation.
Yeah.
But because like I know when you have a problem, then you kind of feel like entitled that everyone should be understanding, and you get stressed when like, but then you got to accept that there's so many things out there. You can't expect everyone to be aware of every single invisible, hidden disability or impairment or anything. So yeah, it's tough for you guys. It's tough. People like us making your life hard and stuff, isn't it?
Not
Makes
at all.
me feel guilty.
He makes my life harder.
Yeah. I thought maybe I don't know if it's good idea for people that maybe hasn't trained or done anything to help their speeches, maybe to carry a card or something. Isn't it like, I don't know if that's ever been raised to say like you've got a card, and if you've got a speech problem, and you can show it to them, and maybe if someone approaches you, you can see that happening, and you can pull out the card so you know that they know, and then that might make yourself feel a bit more relaxed, knowing that they know, although you don't know them.
Yeah, I remember CJ was saying, when he does contacts, one of the first things he does is to kind of, well, I think I might be right here, because I know you've done a few different things through different stages, but one of them was you let people know straight away, right? Or
yeah,
so you can then they know, and then it kind of eases you a bit.
Yeah, but to continue on the suggestion that Max had about the card, to have a card, do you see stuttering as a disability then? As fluent speakers?
I was gonna stop Ruben when he said disability. I was gonna say, is it even classed as a disability? Because I don't think it is.
But that's also a problem as well, right? But that's also a problem as well, because in employment law, they actually classed it as a disability in 2010, but purely to give employees protection at work if they were if they were passed over for promotion, or if they were bullied or anything, then they can point to it as a breach of law.
Right.
But then if you take it the wrong way and take it personally and think, I don't have disability, I just can't speak sometimes, then it actually pissed a few people off, but it was aimed to actually assist them in the workplace. So it will stop kind of them being differentiated unfairly if they were kind of interviewing or going for promotion. So it kind of was aimed to give you a bit of help. So now if I went for my next interviews, I can tick a box and skip all these stages and go from the queue.
Would you use that? Would you use it yourself, or would you like bypass that anyway?
I tick the box without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. No, as in, if it's there, it's there, and then, and plus it adds to the stats. So if you don't give your details, then they don't have accurate kind of diversity stats.
Yeah, but Ruben, a couple of people will argue that they might not want to disclose on an application for a job that they have a stutter because they worry about how the world may work and that person's CV might get torn up now. So, like, what would you say to people that came back at you with that argument?
Back in the past, probably I'd say, like, try to steer it away from it until you were speaking to someone face to face. But now, like, things have changed and stuff, and if anything, like, they are encouraged to take on more people with diversity.
Yeah,
because it adds to their kind of like social responsibility and stuff. It gives them good press and everything, that they have a good ratio of BME employees or gender equality. And especially like if you're going for like roles at bigger companies, this kind of stuff, they proper love it, man. They proper love it. Yeah, like at the last bank I worked at, they started off a placement scheme for people who were autistic. So they'd bring them in, and they had an interview process designed specifically for them. And like the questions were geared towards like kind of the best way for them to answer it. All the interviewers and managers had training. Then they worked in the bank for 10 weeks. And then at the end of it, 2 of them received full-time roles out of it. And like I met them and stuff, and they're proper jokers, but as in you can tell that they are autistic because they don't sense like sarcasm. They don't have a filter, but they have to try to control it and stuff. And they openly say that they struggle sometimes when there's quite a lot of people about, and they make it a point to get specific instructions from the manager and everything, so they can actually function properly at work. But so there's these types of schemes around now, and things are improving in that sense. So definitely just tick the box and be open about it. And then if they give you a role, then you know that you're going into a place where they welcome differences,
Yeah,
if anything.
sense.
Yeah. Previously, I would think that I wouldn't tick the box, and then I would get in front of them, and then I'd be able to disclose in front of them. But obviously, since we're working on my speech, I realised that we wouldn't even want to work for companies that had that attitude towards it anyway. So it wouldn't be the right place for us to work. But going back to my original question, guys. So personally, what's your view? Do you think that stuttering is a disability or not? Because I don't think we quite got an answer.
I mean, what's the definition of disability? Disability is something that
mental, physical.
Is it mental, physical, something that you can't control? I don't know.
I mean, is it? I mean, personally, I'll just straight up say no. I don't think it is. Listen, you know, in public and things, it's a disadvantage for yourselves. But I don't think it is a disability. But then again, I'm not the greatest understander. I don't know the full range of what disability is.
I mean,
so,
if a disability is something you're not able to, it's stopping you from being able to do something, and it's affecting your speech, and I suppose it does come under disability because that makes sense.
You don't have the ability.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult question for anyone to answer. Even people in the stuttering community argue about it all the time. Everyone's arguing about it. Is it a disability?
But then again, sorry to interrupt. But then again, our views might be different to other people walking down the street. Everyone, like you say, if it probably splits everyone. You know, I don't think there's a definitive answer to it.
Yeah, and to go back to Ruben's point on autism, I've just looked online that if 1% of the population have autism and 1% of the population has a stutter. But would you say that there's a lot more awareness for autism than people that have?
Definitely, 100%. I didn't know there was even 1% of stuttering guys that stutter.
Yeah, I didn't even think there was equal in terms of.
If you asked me that question before you told me the stats, I would have told you. Like,
No way.
A lot more than autism than stutterers.
Yeah, I would have said, well, if they're 1%, then if there's 1% of the population with autism, I would have given it 0.0 something for.
Wow.
That's
nice, Ruben, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really an interesting stat. But maybe it's a bigger thing because for people who stutter, it could be easier to find coping mechanisms, and like sometimes you may come across a word where it messes you up, but then 10 minutes later you can say it. But if you're like autistic, then that's constantly there. That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There are different. Okay, so we have a comment on the Facebook, guys. We got a comment from Leo here. Leo's asking.
I was just saying his name again. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Leo,
hello to Leo, our friend at SHB. Leo's asking, do you think that it's better to disclose straight away every time when you meet a new person? Not to mention fast interactions like in shops when you go to pay for your stuff.
Yes, Leo, good question. Yeah, I think it is good to disclose. You don't have to do it like by telling them. You could kind of be like voluntarily showing your stutter, but so something I say quickly is just give me, oh, by the way, I stutter, so I'm going to pause and block a bit at times. And they're like, cool. And then you can carry on with your conversation. And that's all it really takes, because it's easy to fall into the trap of turning it into some kind of dramatic performance, right? And like hugs and tears and stuff afterwards. But just keep it short and sweet. And the more casual you are about it, it just makes it easier. And I've personally found that some of my best first conversations with people when I first met them has happened after I've opened up and told them that, because quickly you kind of bypass all that small talk and you actually talk about kind of actual things. And you can have a good conversation and actually build better relationships with new people. So there you go, Leah. Just answer your question. What's next? I'm joking. Go on, Chris. What do you think?
I personally agree. I think there's no harm in quickly just saying, sorry, bear with me, I've got a stutter. There's nothing wrong with that in my eyes. It puts everyone at ease. It makes everyone feel more comfortable. Like, guys, if you met someone on the street and you asked them a quick question, I'm sure that you would appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, it puts everyone at ease. It would, you'd have to be a cold-hearted person for someone to turn around and say, bear with me, I've got a stutter, and say, no, leave, and walk off. If someone approached me and said it, even if they didn't disclose it, you have the patience and you have the time to listen.
Ruben, would you say?
Sorry,
Chris.
That's how you two could have answered that question, really, because you know what you feel is best. If it's better to disclose or not.
Yeah, I want to ask Ruben, do you think that that person would be a cold-hearted person to walk away like that? Because surely we've experienced it in contact, and I've just put it down to that lack of awareness and lack of knowledge of what stuttering is.
Yeah, like some people in the end, they've got tunnel vision. They may be really focused on kind of, they have to go to a certain place by a certain time, or trying to get a train or a bus, and just kind of in their own head and stuff. So I kind of stopped taking it personally, because just don't have time for that. But I do have a funny story from one day when I was doing contacts, and generally people are like cool and stuff, and there was one particular person that I met in a park, and he was like, "Oh, really? Oh, tell me more about it." And then I was like, "Oh, this and that, 1%, blah blah blah." And just when he's like, "Oh, like, but how come it happened? Oh, you seem fine." Like, "Yeah, but have good days, bad days." And went on some like 5-minute conversation. Then by the end of it, I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I need to get a train to Manchester tonight, and I need £10.85." And I'm like, "Fucking hell, you're one of these guys, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Oh man, one of these guys." And had to give him £3 in the end for that. But he played a long game with me. He played a long game with me. So so I'd rather him ignore me and walk away than do that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you ever come up to a person that's never met anyone with a stutter and didn't know nothing about it?
Yeah, plenty of times. If anything, like that happens a lot more than the other times. And
That shows the lack of awareness, then, doesn't it?
yeah.
I can see that 99% of the population know about autism.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be that many that would know.
About stuttering.
Yeah. I think unless you know somebody, you're not going to really.
It's the only way you probably know.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there that says anything. Is there any adverts for the government trying to raise any sort of awareness? Or
Well,
Not really.
yeah, well, I was going to say, if they are, they're obviously not raising enough awareness if you haven't seen them or anything. But there have been appeals on the BBC made by other stuttering charities. I'm sure that you've seen other programs about people that have stutters. I don't know if you've seen any TV shows.
I mean, I'll just go back to the obvious. The first time I saw it on TV was probably Gareth Gates.
Mate, the amount of times I've heard that. I'm like,
Everyone.
"Oh, really? I didn't know that."
I swear, CJ loved him because he had a stutter. He wanted him to win it. Yeah.
They're like, "Have you seen the King's Speech?" "Oh no, I haven't. What's that about?"
Have you guys seen the King's Speech?
I haven't, no.
Oh my God.
Is it Colin Firth?
Yeah. It's pretty good actually. It's pretty good. But
I will watch.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
yeah, it's good, but it is impractical, because people came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, have you tried like the swearing a lot and stuff?" You can't swear at work, or if you go to job interview, just start effing and blinding, right? And so there's a lot of misinformation out there. And
The one that I heard is people said, "Oh, you should try jumping up and down," because there's that scene where he's having therapy with a guy and they both start jumping up and down. I was like, "Listen, if it was that easy, mate."
hilarious. I've got a question to the three of you. Do you guys know any footballers who stutter?
I think CJ knew. He told me what it was.
Maybe CJ stays quiet for this one.
Yeah, I'll stay quiet. I know someone.
He did say as well. I'm sure he'd said it. I'm sure he was saying someone. It was mentioning an NBA player because you wanted him, you wanted to get in contact with him. An ex-NBA player, but footballers. Off the top of my head, I can't think. No. You think?
Ruben?
Yeah, the only one I know of is James Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Colombian geezer.
I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if any of you have seen that award that he won. I don't know if it was young world player of the year or something. And as he's being interviewed, turn the camera to Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's cracking up.
No way.
That was probably when he scored goal in the tournament in the World Cup, and they probably give him an award for goal in the tournament.
I don't know if he was. I don't know if Cristiano was laughing because of his stutter, but I think that they had a bit of banter between them, and apparently he was really nervous beforehand, and he was saying like, "Oh, look how nervous he is."
Okay, fair enough. But I don't think you'd openly just like laugh.
No.
Yeah, maybe he was having a joke or something before, like you say.
Yeah, like there's a person that I know from Speakers Club actually, and he's Colombian, and he said that in Colombia, like James actually gets quite a lot of, I wouldn't say stick, but the press isn't always positive, and he hasn't had like the best endorsements and stuff because he can't like articulate himself as some of the other players and everything. So it is a detriment in some countries where it isn't as PC as it is here, because this country, like, there are problems and everything with kind of the tensions between races and stuff, but it is a pretty PC country compared to quite a lot of places out there. So we have to appreciate that at times that it is harder elsewhere than here. I would definitely say so.
In terms of opportunities and things like that, or
Yeah.
against.
Sorry? Discrimination.
In terms of the opportunities, or in terms of like, he's being, he gets like not stick, but like you say,
people are less understanding.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Less understanding. CJ, what's the Facebook feed saying?
Yeah.
Anyone typing up?
Comment from Leo, which has made me laugh a little bit. But he said, I disclosed in my last job, and the answer that I got was, try smoking weed. That might help. Try smoking weed.
Did you get the job at least?
I don't know. Leo, let us know if you got that job.
And the other thing is,
Ruben, what do you think about weed and its the possibilities of helping or whatever with a stutter?
we know a few people who have gone down that route, and it hasn't helped them. So that's my answer.
Yeah. Well, a couple of people have claimed that it helps them. Other people have said like take some CBD tablets or something, but it's just, I don't know. It's so far inconclusive that it's.
For the ones that has helped, who have claimed this help, would you say maybe that's in their mind, or that they wanted it to help so much, or would it not work that way?
I would say that perhaps it's almost like alcohol. Some people drink and their stutter completely goes, and other people drink and their stutter gets worse. I think it depends on how the individual views it and how they respond to whatever substance they take. So with alcohol, it could put you in a state where you don't care, you don't hold back, and you just let go. And maybe that can help increase your fluency. So perhaps people that have gone down that route,
I have to say that there is a difference between the blunt and the oil. So I take the oil, and I was actually a bit more active on it when I was at the gym and stuff and training, because you get like bruises and bumps and everything. So before sleep, just put some directly on the skin, have a few drops and sleep, and your sleep is good. The pain recovers quicker and stuff, because the oil is like the extract, but it doesn't actually contain the thing that gets you high.
Right.
And you can buy it in Holland Barrett and stuff as well. So and Holland Barrett is still open, which means that it's classed as an essential good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Max is still working. Does that mean that you're an essential worker, Max?
Must do. I think I'm essential to the economy.
That's how they see it.
That's how I see it, anyway.
Are your sites still open?
He's on site. He's he's in construction.
Max works in construction, yeah.
6 projects at the moment, and 4 of them have currently closed down due to COVID-19. 2 of them are still running. They've done loads of precautions to make sure everyone stays 2 meters apart. Antibacterial gel everywhere. Only a certain amount of people allowed in the canteen at the same stage. Smoking area, only 10 people allowed in at the same time. They've done a lot of precautions to make sure everyone stays safe. Apart from probably provide masks and gloves, which I think you told me the WHO said that masks don't actually work.
Yeah, well, today I read that who came out and said that the masks don't actually stop anything, really. It doesn't stop you from getting it.
So everyone's been wearing masks around the world, and they're trying to get emergency shipments over from China for masks.
Well, this is the thing. Because of
recent time. Is that what he said?
Well, this is the thing. Obviously, we're in the rag trade, the fashion industry, and we're in the process of making samples, like masks. But now that's why I was doing a lot of reading about it. And today I read that, they come out and said that the masks are as essential as gloves. Washing your hands every 20 minutes. Well, I don't know about every 20 minutes, but washing your hands.
I think they were saying that the virus, it transfers through droplets, and they can't actually hang in the air. So it's actually from surfaces as opposed to like things that you breathe in. So that's why it's more important to keep your kind of skin covered, and you don't want to touch things and touch your face. But it's fine to actually walk around without a mask.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think that's what they're saying.
However, that could all change again in a week's time because
yes,
we don't know what's going on.
I remember them saying it was airborne.
Yeah, I mean, at one stage they were saying 12 meters or something.
12 meters. It takes 10 seconds.
Yeah. But I think at the start they said that it isn't contagious and you need to be in close contact with someone for like half an hour.
That's right.
Something, and then bit by bit they slowly worked out that it wasn't as straightforward as that. And I'd probably put more blame on the Chinese for not like sharing information earlier.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've managed to contain it. Apparently there were a few more cases the other day though, but other than that, they've managed to contain it, so they should be there.
So they say.
Yeah, Wuhan have lifted their lockdown now, haven't they?
Yeah, they're back to work. Factories are open again.
But they reopened that market again.
Yes.
They reopened that rag market.
I see a massive queue because a tourist attraction got opened. It might have been yesterday, and there was all stuck in a queue. So if you hadn't had it already, I'm pretty sure there's a big chance of you getting it. It's not as if it just disappears overnight, And all those people that were stuck in a big queue and that bunched up, surely, there's a risk. I mean, I wouldn't be rushing. I was thinking about it myself, when this is all over, when the barbers confirm they're open, I don't think I'm going to rush to go to the barbers. I'll wait a couple of days and then go, because you still got to take precautions, even when they do lift the lockdown. That isn't really a lockdown.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen to the Premier League, though, Chris?
There's two. There's what I think and what I hope. I hope it gets.
What do you hope first?
I hope it gets voided because of Liverpool. I mean, they deserve to win the league. I don't want to mix that up. But I mean, just to make it funny, it's been 30 years. They finally managed to get there, and then all of a sudden, this worldwide pandemics happen that could actually stop them from getting it.
You see, technically, if they void it but award them the title, then Man City can take them to court and sue them. They can claim that it's mathematically possible for them to catch it. So
right.
like you can't do that. But I personally think it would be funnier if they voided it, gave them the title, and then they do an open top bus parade to no one. That's what I think. That's what I think.
An office.
They wait 30 years and it's
funny.
Complete anticlimax.
That'd be the best thing actually. The computer generate a crowd.
Yeah, iPads everywhere and stuff.
But yeah, that's what I hope will happen anyway. But I do think they will just push it back as far as they can, and then probably finish the season with a limited capacity, or just the teams and their staff.
I personally think they should stop it now and then restart again at the right time, like when we get to the end of.
I'm with you on that.
It makes a lot more sense in the end.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, because the backdating would be just ridiculous. Too many things mess up in terms of people's contracts are running out at the end of June.
Yeah,
signings are coming in on the 1st of January. Like with Chelsea, we've got from Ajax, we've got Ziyech coming in. What happens there? Champions League final needs to be played. All these things happen, and you can't push that back, because then the whole of next season, it all goes weird. Where does the transfer window open and close? All these things, instead of just saying, all right, we have to lose one this season, gone, start fresh next season. Everyone, fresh restart. It is what it is. That's what I think should happen.
Yeah, but then who plays Champions League football next year?
Same teams that
the
are
current top 4, probably.
I'll take that. As a Chelsea fan, I've looked at every different outcome, and we're in the top 4 even. We're in the Champions League no matter what. Last year we was in it, this year we was in it, and we was currently top 4. So as a Chelsea fan, any outcome's all right with me.
So if the league gets voided, Spurs are in the Champions League. Is that what you're telling me?
No. It depends on what way they go. In terms of, do they go from last season?
Yeah.
Just now, then yes. But if they go from current top 4, then Leicester would be in it, and Chelsea.
Well, top five, right?
That's right, without City next year. What happens there? They go out, and then Arsenal have to join in because they were 5th last year. I don't know how it works.
It's so complicated.
It's a very twisted and tangled thing that they've got to try and figure out.
City are lucky as well, because if they get if their ban is for 2 years, and if half that ban is in like a lockdown, then they'll miss much, have they?
It's true. Or
is it 2 seasons? I don't know.
Apparently 2 seasons. But it's like with Tottenham now, they've sent Son to do his last 4 weeks of country service for South Korea. It's the time because there's no football being played.
Yeah.
Still a little bit injured, but he's going to do his 4 weeks, come back. It's like nothing happened. You don't have to go missing at the end of the year now, like he was going to go.
Is there any football being played anywhere in the world?
There was in Belarus. I know there was in Belarus. There must be somewhere else, but I don't think anyone should be.
I think they get paid enough.
What, to risk their lives?
No, not to risk their lives. Incubating. So once you finish football, you go into this box. Not a box, but like they quarantine every professional football player that's going to play football.
They can't do that as well, because if someone breaks their leg, then take them to where?
Are you going to take them?
Do they jump the queues in the care unit?
That's a good point. What about all the physios that used to work for the football clubs? Do you reckon they're helping out in the hospitals? Or
Potentially, I don't know either, yeah.
They get asked to, I think. So if they have experience in a hospital, then they get asked, but they got a choice. So they don't have to do it if they don't want to.
There's a question that I want to ask Chris though. Well, and Max. Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi?
All right. Before I start on that, I was going to just say none of them are as good as a real Ronaldo. For me, I just appreciate both of them, because Messi was the one with the natural. He was just born amazing. He could close his eyes and run around players, no problem. what I appreciate with Ronaldo is the fact that he had to train every day to get to where he is. So he deserves to be with Messi like that. And I'm happy for them to be like that. I mean, I talk to people, and if you say one or that one over the other, they're like, how could you even say that? It's like they're both amazing. So I don't think there is a right answer. As the Ballon d'Or shows, you know, they keep switching each year. It just depends who's on form at the time. But yeah, I mean, we should be very happy, and we are lucky that we've watched them for their whole careers, because I don't think you're going to get another battle between two players like that for a long time.
But do you think at the same time with the older players, you believe a bit more in like the myth as opposed to what they're doing week in, week out?
What do you mean the myth?
Well, like people say, as in with the Brazilian one, so he had good seasons between like 2003 back to 97, 6-year period, but in between he was out for like 2000 and 2001. So he had like 3 or 4 seasons at the top.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as you know, this is, I don't know if I got deja vu, but I'm sure you lot were talking about this the other day. I think CJ even mentioned the Maradona quote, what he came out with about the real Ronaldo. And I think anyone who watched football, especially where I just got into football at a young, like where my age was when Ronaldo was on fire, and he was doing things that they're just doing now. You know, he's a timeless player. He could be put into this day and age, and I think he would be, if not with Messi and Ronaldo, above them both. Personally, that's what I think.
Above both of them. Wow.
But I personally think so. Yeah, I mean, I think he was the one who created that role for a striker, where he'd come deep, grab that ball, and just take on the world. He'd start taking on spectators as well while he was at it. He was that good. He was honestly, if you watch his YouTube videos, he took on the goalkeeper 88 times, I think, to score a goal. People don't score 88 goals in their career. Like some strikers don't even score 88 goals, and that's their job. And he scored 88 just going around the goalie. I'm sure it was 88. But yeah, I mean, this guy was different level. I just love watching YouTube clips of him. Whenever I have a debate, probably after this, I'm going to go watch some more videos of him, because I like to remind myself of why I think he's the best.
So if he's better than them two, then would you say he's the best of all time?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the Maradona and for Pele and these players that were before my time, but definitely in my time, watching anyone like in a live game, for me, Ronaldo was the best. I mean, you could just go to the United game at Old Trafford when he scored the hat-trick. 3 different types of goals, overweight at the time as well, and he was still just showing what he could do. So for me, yeah, the best of my time, definitely. My life, my 31 years.
And Max?
Apart from me, of course, he's going to say me. But
Yeah, I was going to say myself. I agree with Chris. We've always said it about Ronaldo, but I don't know if he's like kind of drilled it into me, because he don't stop saying that Ronaldo's the best player ever to live, the real Ronaldo, and it's always the real Ronaldo. When someone says Ronaldo, he has to get his point across. It's the real Ronaldo,
the real one. Definitely.
But no, I'd say for me it'd be the real Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, and then Messi.
Yeah, Ronaldo,
Because Cristiano Ronaldo reminds me a bit of me when I play football. So no, he's for me. I prefer watching him than Messi.
What about yourself?
I would say between the two of them, the better player would be Messi. And I'd actually put him in the argument for top 3.
Ever.
But then I put the Brazilian one as number, like in that second bracket where he got kind of the next 3, which was him,
Okay, yeah.
him, Cristiano, and Zidane. Zidane.
Zidane was class.
Yeah. So like they would be the next three, and I'm unsure about the order between them three.
So your top three is Maradona, Pele, and Messi.
Yeah, and the order with that would depend on kind of people's time. If it was that era, if they watched, they could say, well, the pictures in this, the ball was like rock, and they'd have all these different variables there. But
yeah,
if you're looking at clips and talent and all that kind of stuff, you put them in the top three, then the next three would be these guys, and then
definitely a strong six. That's definitely
yeah.
six. But my thing and my argument, it's weird. When I was in Vegas a few months ago, I had this debate. We was having dinner, and I said to them all, the fact that we're all discussing Ronaldo, the real one, as one of the best players ever, it shows how good he actually was, because he was robbed of half a career, yet he's still in that conversation, which is why I put him as number one.
I was going to say you're the only one that's actually mentioned it.
No, everyone just put him as his top six.
CJ said, do you prefer Messi or Cristiano? And you brought Ronaldo into it.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
The point is, everyone would agree that the real Ronaldo is in the conversation. You know, and that's with half.
Because you brought him in the conversation. That's why.
Right, but he was in your top six.
It wasn't even the question.
True. What about you, CJ?
I think
Harry Kane, Son, and
Alison Sanchez at the back.
I would say Ledley King first. No, but I think that the real Ronaldo, as you guys are calling him, I'd put him as third. I think simply because he was injured, you can't call him the greatest ever. I'd put Ronaldo first, Cristiano Ronaldo, then Messi, and then the real Ronaldo.
I mean, it's fair. You can't when people say one or the other, those two current players, I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, because there's arguments for both. You know, if you do stats, Ronaldo actually wins a lot of them, but then he's played a lot more games. If you go by individual goals and things like that, and just pure genius, Messi is a genius. He really he's a different breed the way he plays football.
I like the real Ronaldo because he used to show up at World Cups. Even the last one when he was overweight, he was.
Yeah, imagine.
I think he was the top goal scorer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Last one when he was quite fat and he was.
Yeah, 2002. Yeah.
I think he scored the first game. He scored against Ghana. I think he went around the goalie again. There you go. Goes around the goalie again.
Oh, crazy! All right, guys, looking to wrap things up now.
Thank you for having us.
Any final words?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for having us, and it's been a pleasure. Hope we've, helped somehow.
That's been great having you guys. Ruben, any final words?
No, just thank you very much for changing up a bit and coming on. Come back again sometime.
Definitely.
When we have better football arguments, stronger than like just saying that, because when he was at his peak, the stuff he was doing was good. But just to add, I personally think that fair enough, he was injured and for big parts of his career, but you can say that about so many other players who had those same problems. So they may not have had the opportunity to get to those standards.
It's a good point. It is a good point. But then, just quickly before we do it, I'm going back to when he was a teenager. His stats, compared to the others, were before he reached 100 goals, while them guys were still kicking the ball in their back garden at their ages. He was top of the world at such a young age.
No one could tell Chris anything about Ronaldo.
I said we could be here all night. He just tried to wrap it up 10 minutes ago. Sorry, guys. How long have we got?
That was just me just
stay tuned for part two.
Playing around there. Cool. Thank you very much again. It's been fun, man. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate having us.
Chris.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Guys, want to thank everyone for tuning in. Everyone on the Facebook feed that left comments, asked questions, got involved. And I'll let Ruben finish it off.
Yeah, so just going to do it the way we always do it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and remember, stop holding back.